The church was full. Friends, family, cameras, and music filled the room as I walked slowly down the aisle toward Kofi, the man I believed I would spend the rest of my life with. Kofi looked perfect in his suit, confident, calm, smiling. Everything seemed perfect. The pastor raised his voice and asked, "If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace." There was silence. Then suddenly, someone shouted, "Wait!" A woman stood up from the back of the church. She walked slowly toward the altar while the entire church watched in confusion. She stopped in front of us. She looked directly at Kofi. "My name is Nanama Mensah," she said calmly. Kofi's smile disappeared instantly. I frowned and asked her, "Do we know you?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a photograph. She handed it to me. My heart nearly stopped. It was a picture of Kofi and the woman kissing. And the date on the photo was 2 weeks ago. The church erupted into whispers. I looked at Kofi shaking and said, "You told me you were in Dubai on business." Kofi cleared his throat. He said, "It's not what it looks like." But Nana Ama wasn't finished. She looked directly at me and said, "I'm not here to stop your wedding." Everyone froze. Everyone froze. I blinked and asked her, "Then why are you here?" Nama asked slightly and said, "To tell you the truth about the man you're marrying." She turned to the guest and shouted, "Kofi Mensah has been dating 3 women at the same time for the past year." Gasps filled the chair as it trembled. But before anyone could react further, Kofi suddenly started laughing. At first it was soft, then louder. Everyone stared at him in confusion. I became even more confused looking at him. Finally, he said calmly, "Nana Ama, I was wondering when you would show up." The church went quiet. I looked confused and asked him, "What do you mean?" Kofi turned to me and said, "Aqua, there's something I plan to tell you after the ceremony." I folded my arms. "Go on then." Kofi took a deep breath. "Yes, I dated her." The church murmured again, but it ended months ago. I stared at him and asked him, "Then why does she have a photo from 2 weeks ago?" Kofi smiled. "Because I knew she was going to try this." Then he reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. He handed it to the pastor. On the screen was a video recording. The pastor pressed play. "Once I embarrass him at the wedding, his reputation will be finished. His business partners will pull out. Then we can buy his company cheaply." The entire church gasped hearing Nana Ama's voice from the video. She was in a secret meeting with a man who was later identified as Kofi's lawyer friend. Nana Ama's face went pale. Kofi looked at her calmly. He said, "I suspected you were planning something when you started visiting John in the office, so I planted a camera and recorded everything." "So you were trying to destroy him?" Nana Ama said nothing. Security began walking toward her.
You should have just moved on.
As Nana Ama was escorted out of the church, she glared back at him and said,
"You think this is over?"
Kofi simply smiled. Then he turned back to Aqua.
I know today didn't go how you expected.
"I have one question.
Okay.
Did you ever actually love her?" The church waited silently for Kofi's response. Kofi looked me in the eyes and responded, "No." I exhaled slowly, then finally said, "Good." "Pastor, you may continue."